Singapore REITs are finally turning the corner. After months of consolidation, earnings are out, financing costs are starting to fall, and investor inflows are picking up fast. But not all REITs are created equal. In this video, I'm going to review to you 5 of the most promising Singapore REITs right now based on my one good trend strategy, right? And some of them are already flashing some bullish signals. So you're wondering where the smart money is actually flowing into right now in terms of the REITs. Do you want to watch this video all the way to the end? Let's go. So first of all, what are REITs? Well, REIT stands for Real Estate Investment Trust, right? Think of it like a company that owns and manages income-generating properties, right? Like your shopping malls, your buildings, offices, hotels, and things like that, even data centers. So instead of buying like a physical property or like a whole entire building, right, you can actually invest in REITs or buying these REITs that's listed on the SGX, right? And you instantly get exposure to rental income, right? Rental income just by buying into that REIT, right? Just like a property. So the next question would be, why do people want to invest in REITs, right? Real Estate Investment Trust, right? One of the key reasons would be people investing in REITs, they would like what we call, consistent dividend income, right? Every quarterly, right? So what happens for REITs? It must pay out at least 90% of their taxable income to investors. So if you're investing in good quality REITs, where you typically get your quarterly dividend payouts. And not only dividends, right? If the price of the REITs were to go even higher, there could be capital appreciation as well. So if the REIT were to go from $1 to $1.20, that would be a 20% increase in the price, capital gains on top of the dividends that you collect. So some of the key benefits of investing in REITs would be you get exposure to multiple properties across different sectors, and it's very liquid as well, right? It's just like buying any other normal stock, on the SGX, right? You don't have to buy a property which probably take a few months to sell, and there's no need to like lock in a huge amount of capital in terms of a real physical property. So there's very low capital required if you buy a REIT, right? It could be a few hundred shares, and that's it, right? You own kind of like a part of a property that pays you regular income. So let's move to the top 5 Singapore REITs that I'd like to share with you guys today, right? And why are we seeing strength? Well, essentially, right, REITs are gradually coming down. There are talks about the Federal Reserve potentially cutting rates by end of the 2025, and REITs are reporting earnings over the next 1 to 2 weeks in August, and they're looking pretty stable in terms of earnings. And some of the REITs are definitely showing signs of a reversal. Of course, we have some bullish signals coming out of them, right? So what are the 5 Singapore REITs that you want to watch and put your watch list for potentially more upside and even collecting the regular dividends or income that I talk about? Let's go. So the first REIT I'd like to talk about will be this company or this REIT called Keppel DC REIT, right? So this REIT owns data centers, right? Not your usual malls or your offices, but pretty much the backbone of the internet. So if you're watching Netflix or gaming or storing files on the cloud in the internet, right? Well, chances are data is flowing through one of its data centers. So Keppel DCB is currently trading at about $2.38. One of the REITs that we like, I would say, since last year, there were definitely some signs of the trend turning from down to up in terms of the longer term. Just by looking at what we call the longer term moving average. You can see, right, somewhere around August last year, right, just about a year back, right, we saw the 100 days moving average line, the red line, crossing up above the blue line. So that is where we are seeing signs of the longer term trend turning back up. And there we go, right? Started to push all the way up. Of course, there was some sell down in April when Trump introduced tariffs, right? And everything sold off. But so far, I would say that, no, we have rebounded pretty strongly, all right? And the longer term trend still looks up because we have found higher lows, right? Just by looking at the red and the blue line. So over the past, I would say 1 over month, you can see that the 100 days moving average, the red and blue line, they're both starting to point up, while red have gone back above the blue as a confirmation as well, all right, in terms of the longer term trend turning up. And I can draw this very key resistance right over here around the $2.35. You can see, right, since November last year, we have like touched it right over here, and we came all the way down, we neared it, came down, same thing. Somewhere over here in June, just about 1 month back, right, we hit it there, we sold off again, but over the past 1 week, well, finally it seems like we're attempting to break the $2.35. So a little bit of resistance coming out at $2.40. So I think if that gives way, I think that would be a pretty good confirmation that we could start to see more upside from here, maybe all the way to that $2.50 psychological resistance level, right? And if you look at the short-term trend, well, we can focus our attention on this green 20 days moving average line. So this green line would give a little bit of an indication whereby the short-term trend is turning down or up, right? So if the line is pointing down, you want to be careful, right? It means the short-term trend is down. But if it starts to turn up, like somewhere over here in April, right, in May, there we go, up, flat, up, down a little bit. You see right now, they're starting to kind of like slope up, right? So that could be where we could see some signs of a reversal as well, or prices pushing higher, right? And this is Keppel REIT, right? In terms of a very manual analysis, based on my one good trend strategy. But what I have is actually I have this one good trend pro indicator whereby on any stocks, any asset classes, not just the REITs, but any stocks, it could be DBS, it could be Apple, Microsoft, whatever, right? I could turn it on and get an opinion in seconds, right? So let's see what it says on my one good trend pro indicator whereby we can turn on the bullish and bearish signals. Let's turn it on, 1, 2, 3. There we go, right? And here it is, right? For Keppel DC REIT, well, right? Apart from what I've analyzed just now, actually, since I would say April, right? Somewhere around 2nd of May or early April, right? Sorry, end of April, early May, right? Where we got the first 1GT bullish signal, right? The green line started to point out as another confirmation, another bullish signal, another one here, another one just a few days back. And there we go. We are actually starting to push higher. 4 1GT bullish signals over the past 3 months. So not too bad. I think if you can stay above 230 or even 235, there could still be more upside to this stock, maybe all the way to $2.50 first. So let's move on to the second Singapore REIT I'm going to share with you today, and that would be Starhill Global REIT. So if you've ever shopped along like Orchard Road, right? I'm going to go to Orchard Road right now, but if you ever go along Orchard Road, you'll probably walk into one of their assets. So they actually own Wisma Atrio and Ngee City Takashimaya, right? So if you do a little bit of shopping over there, well, that means you are pretty much stepping into the properties under this REIT. So Starhill Global REIT at about 54 cents right now. So very quickly, you can see, right? I've just quickly turned on my 1GT Pro indicator in terms of the bullish and bearish signal of it. There we go. It's gone on it. And in a matter of seconds, you get a quick opinion if it's bullish or bearish. So if you see like, bullish green signals coming out, 1GT stands for one good trend. Well, that would be where, it gives you a bit more confidence to think about getting in. But of course, if you see like a bearish, signal like over here in October last year and it starts heading down, and you might want to be careful, right? You don't want to rush to get in. You want to probably wait for a bullish signal coming in, plus a few more other confirmations. So this is Starhill Global REIT, and you can see that very quickly in terms of the longer term trend. Well, it has been a pretty good longer term uptrend since about a year back. Higher lows, red and blue line. You can see both pointing up, red above the blue. So 100 days moving average above the 200 days moving average. So that's a good thing, right? The short-term trend, you can see that the green line also has started to turn up since earlier May. Up, flat, up, is still pointing up. Plus, we got a new 1GT bullish signal coming out somewhere around 9th of June. It is still playing out. It seems that we have pushed a little bit higher, right? And one of the things that I like about Starhill Global REIT is that we have brokers. So look at this, right? Over the past like 2 years, right? I can draw this key resistance level right over here. Right? This is what we call a psychological resistance level. So right over here, let me just go to remove all the signals so it's a bit clearer, right? You can see right over here, we have touched somewhere in 2021, right? Look at this level. Look, 53 cents, 52 cents, same thing we touched. Sold off another time, sold off, started to hit all the way down. That was in 2021 November, all right? So since 2021, we were below this level, and even in like September last year, 2024, same thing, we headed to that same level, that 53 cents, right? And came all the way down again, right? Of course, we got a bearish signal as I mentioned, so let me just turn back on the signal again, right over here. So we got a bearish signal starts coming out. So the point here is that we have touched that 53 cents level since 4 years back and came down. Right, but what happened over the past 1 to 2 weeks? So finally, you can see right over here that we have finally, right, after 4 years, gone above the 53 cents level. Look at this right here, right? Now we are at 54 cents. We went to about 55 cents. So the point here is that over the past 1 to 2 weeks, we finally got above this key resistance level where many times it touched and came down, but now it has broken above it. And more importantly, stay above it, right? So that's where we could potentially see more upside. So what could be some of the targets that we could do a little bit of a projection just by looking at the past? So maybe somewhere over here, 56 cents could be a bit of a resistance. So if you look at the past, if there's any levels whereby sellers came back, that could be where selling can come back again. So we can do a projection as well in terms of the consolidation over the past few months. So let me just do a bit of a projection from here. to here. I would say maybe all the way to 58 cents, maybe even 60 cents. I think that could be where some profit taking can come back again. So anything above 52 or 53 cents, I think the uptrend looks intact. So let's move on to the third Singapore REIT that I'd like to share with you today. All right, and that would be AIMS APAC REIT right over here. So this REIT focuses more on industrial, properties and logistics. All right, so if you're staying near Tuas or Jurong, they probably have a few logistic hubs over there. So you probably will not shop there, but many of the goods that you probably purchase online, you have to go through their warehouses right somewhere in the west. So let's take a look at AIMS APAC REIT right now, $1.39. So you can see very quickly, right, the longer term trend is up. And for my one good trend strategy, right, essentially we're going to think about buying stocks whereby we are in the same direction as the trend. So it's harder to be wrong if you're along with the trend rather than against it. Does it make sense, right? So if you're along the longer term trend, that's a good thing. But then what about the short term trend, right? Are you along with it as well? So you can see that for AIMS APAC REIT, we're not just, along with the longer term trend over the past 1 month, but we're along the short term trend as well. You can see, right, the green 20 days moving average line is pointing up since May. This green line is still pointing up. Red and blue still pointing up. And of course, we actually got another 1 GT bullish signal coming out right over here when it was just around $1.24, 23 cents. So it's gone up a little bit to $1.39. But could there be more upside? Well, I think it still looks pretty good, right? Trend indicators are looking positive. We may be seeing a bit of a resistance, maybe around $1.40. Look at this, right? Over the past 1-2 weeks, it seems like sellers are coming out over there. But if we can break 140, what targets can be revised? Maybe all the way to $1.50. So this bullish signal seems to be still playing out. And what we could do, right, based on this bullish signal, one of the very powerful feature from my One Good Trend Pro indicator is I can quickly turn on the trailing support and resistance. So very quickly turn it on. And there we go, right? You see that when this 1 GT bullish signal popped out, well, we have a trailing support actually coming out, and it follows, right, this REITs as it moves even higher while giving it the breathing space to move, all right, to consolidate. And obviously prices are still above this trailing support that is around $1.33. So as long as you stay above 133 to 135, I think the uptrend looks intact with a potential break of the $1.40 resistance. So let's move on to the fourth Singapore REIT I'd like to share with you today, and that would be Keppel REIT, right? So very quickly, guys, if you want to find out a little bit more about the entire One Good Trend strategy and perhaps how you could have a tool or an indicator like this, right, to guide you on when to get in, also when to get out, well, what you could do is to attend one of those free webinars. The link is right below the video. Click on it, register for it as well. I'll share with you guys a little bit more about the entire framework, all right, as to how you can pull out the top 1% of stocks in the matter of seconds and then know exactly what to do with them, right? Whether to buy or to sell, all right? And also to remove all the emotions and to not second guess your entry and exit, right? So that's where I'll cover in the free online training, right? So click on the link below to find out more. So back to Keppel REIT right over here, right? So if you work in CBD, right, Raffles Place, City Hall, chances are you are probably working in one of their buildings, right, that is in these REITs, right? So they own like Ocean Financial Center, OFC, MBFC as well, Marina Bay Financial Center, Tower 2, and also One Raffles Quay, ORQ, right? And these are all what we call top grade office towers right in the heart of like Raffles Place and Marina Bay area. So it's more of an office kind of REIT. So let's take a look at the price of Keppel REIT right now, 0.955, 95.5 cent, right? So you can see very quickly for this REIT, same thing. I have what we call a 1 GT bullish signal coming up somewhere around early of May, right? And of course, the short-term trend turned up. The longer-term trend has turned up as well. Look at this, right? Red across the blue, all right? Both starting to point up. We are indeed seeing some signs of the longer-term trend starting to take shape. And one of the things I like about this REIT is that you can see, right? Since, I would say, last year, we have touched this very key resistance level, the 95 cents. So we got two bullish signals in July last year, in August, and then we go all the way up. We hit it to the resistance. We got a bearish signal when the market sold off, and we went all the way down. But the key here is that we have finally came back, right, from this 95 cents resistance. You can see that we have actually attempted to break above this 95 cents resistance, right? As of today, of course, a little bit of profit taking today if the market weaken and sell off, right? But it seems like we're still above 95 cents. So I think that's a very critical level. It's a very critical resistance level. And if we can stay above it, that would be where it would be a new support level that could be a base or a ground for further upside. So targets could be maybe all the way to like about $1 and then about $1.10. I think that could be Keppel REIT. So a little bit of selling, but I think, if you can hold above 95 cents over the next few days up to next 1-2 weeks, right, that could be a good sign of strength as well as to the trend, right, slowly beginning to turn up and pushing higher step by step. So let's move on to the fifth and the final Singapore REIT for today, and that would be Keppel Integrated Commercial Trust. The code is CICT, right? So this is one of the most recognizable REITs in Singapore, right? They own malls like Plaza Sing, all right, Funan, Bugis Junction, even Raffles City, right, where I'm pretty much working at, where my office is, right? So if you have gone shopping or dined in any of those malls or places, you are pretty much supporting this REIT investment, right, without even knowing it. So let's take a look at the price of Keppel Intercommercial Trust, $2.21. You can see, right, very quickly for this REIT, just by looking at the longer term trend, you can see that we have formed what we call higher lows. We can actually draw an upward sloping line, all right, connecting the lows. And it has been forming higher lows since about more than 1-2 years back, right? It's a green, I would say, upward sloping channel support line, right? So you could turn it in green in color, right? Something like this, right? It's a green upward sloping line that connect the lows, right? And if you want to just remove the line, well, very simple, you can look at the red and blue 100 days moving average and 200 days moving average line. So red across the blue, both pointing up, that would mean we are in a longer term uptrend. So very quickly, right, longer term uptrend along the way over the past 1-2 years, where we got a couple of bullish signals here. That was last year, pump, all the way up. Bearish signal starts coming down. 2 bullish signal goes up. And I want to put your attention to this bullish signal that just came out over the past 1 month, to be exact, on the 2nd of July, right over here, right, as we actually attempted to break above that $2.20 resistance level. So let me just draw this resistance 220. You can see that was where we were somewhere in April, sold off. Same thing somewhere near early of May, sold off as well. And we are attempting to break above 220, and seems like we're still trying to stay above it. So over the past 1-2 weeks, it seems like $2.25 have came out as a bit of a resistance level. So I think not too bad. Maybe a little bit of a consolidation right now below $2.25. But overall, longer term trend is up. Short term, well, maybe a bit of sideways from now from 215 to 225. But I think if $2.25 gives way, targets could be revised even higher. So what we could do is to look at the past and see if there's any resistance level. Well, we are pretty much at an all-time high. So nothing much that we can look at from the past. But what we could do is to do a little bit of a projection to see the consolidation phase over the past few months. So it seems like I like to do this consolidation phase from here to here. We can just push it all the way up and project it, or maybe somewhere around 240 to 250. That could be where we may see the next resistance, whereby some selling can come back again. So there we have it, guys. These are the 5 Singapore REITs whereby we have seen some pretty good one good trend bullish signals coming out, so to push a little bit higher, but there could still be more upside. So if you're looking into REITs, right, in terms of like getting your dividend income, consistent, regular dividends and all that, plus capital upside appreciation, these are definitely some of the REITs you could put in your watch list to potentially position yourself in, right? And as I say, right, you're going to find a little bit more about the entire one good trend strategy that I've been using for more than a decade now. Attend one of those free webinars, the link is right below the video. Click on it, register for it, and I can't wait to share with you guys more in terms of the entire framework. Joey here, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Take care.